Our first order of business is to elect a chair and clerk because the elections were held between this meeting and our last. Catherine? O'Callahan?
She's up mute.
So I've heard from the majority of everybody, and Carolyn, if you would accept, you would be nominated as the chair, and Steve, if you would accept, be nominated as the clerk.
Happy to do so.
I will do so as well. Are you sure no one else wants the pleasure?
You know, you're unanimous.
You said it's going to be light.
Okay. I'll do it. So we need a vote. Catherine, if you would like to present the slate and someone can second it, and then we can do a vote.
Yes, I will nominate Carolyn as the chair and Steve Brown as the clerk for this coming year for the library.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Onward. So the minutes, once again, thank you, Bronwyn. Did anyone have any questions or comments on the minutes from last month's meeting? And if not, could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The minutes are passed unanimously. Megan.
Thank you. Before I start on my report, I just want to congratulate Bronwyn for getting the position of library manager while I'm gone. And also, I just wanted to bring up that due to her promotion while I'm gone, we will need somebody to take minutes, because I think running the meeting, giving the report, and doing the minutes would probably be a lot. And when I say running, I just mean running the technology for it. So it looks like we have somebody maybe waiting.
Well, I think Steve Brown is the clerk.
Right.
Oh, boy, I didn't realize
I might
I
have
was.
mentioned that before I nominated you.
That's okay. I'll let me get my stuff up here. You set a high standard, Bronwyn.
It's a 3-month term.
But Steve, Bronwyn takes them by hand, right? Yeah, Bronwyn doesn't use any
What is
machine.
meant by hand?
Pen in hand.
Oh,
That's-
my golly.
Steve, one of these.
Stylus.
Remember?
He does the same thing. It's
I
just a
saw one of those
stylus.
at the American History Museum.
The good news is the meetings are recorded now, so that if you ever have to go back.
Oh, and how do I get, that's great, because then I can, oh, I like that.
Yeah, you could listen and then you could go back maybe. But,
Sure.
all right, thank you. Let me share my screen, and I just did it wrong, excuse me. Who can share? Nope, that's not what I wanted. Let's see. Sometimes, no matter how many times you do this, there we go. Okay, so my director's report pulled up. I think our biggest project for the last month or so has just been getting extremely organized with a fairly detailed plan about how to reopen the library for our, phase 3, phase 4, and what that looks like. So you can take a look at the document here. But mainly, the main points would be that we are eliminating seating at the library and controlling capacity to make sure that people can come in and browse and use the computer. We're going to market ourselves as a quick service library. And so that's kind of how we're going to start to reopen back into some normalcy. We're also in deep conversations with the local libraries. We are lucky that our town manager has a full understanding of the fact that if we open before everybody else, it's not going to lead to successful reopening for us because we will be inviting folks from other towns, which we're not opposed to, but we don't need to service everyone in the surrounding towns. And if we had some other libraries that were opening at the same time, that would be great. So we're just finding a balance between when town hall's opening and when libraries are opening surrounding us as well. And we're doing the standard purchasing plexiglass, creating one-ways. The meeting rooms will not be open to the public. Limited hours, and the staff is getting all the PPE that they might need for us to be successful.
Megan, how are you going to eliminate seating?
So we are moving chairs into the meeting rooms and the study rooms. So we're going to leave the tables in case people need to put things down, but all the chairs are going to be off the floor.
Even the upholstered ones?
Yeah, everything off the floor. Yep. It's not, you know, we've talked about possibly putting tape on the chairs, but when you have to manage a situation like that, it's just better for it to be gone. We don't want to be in a situation with a patron who insists that they need to sit. It causes policing for the staff, and if we can just put ourselves in a situation that we just don't have to go there, I think it's best.
Gotcha.
Megan, what about, I was disappointed that Quigley didn't give you any encouragement of how to deal with obnoxious clients.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we ought to talk a little bit about that later on in the meeting, about how we can help, because there are people who unfortunately have various types of mental illness that are likely to go rogue. And I'm involved in another organization where that literally happened, and it was, you know, completely unprovoked. And
yeah, people are really using this mask wearing requirement to try to exercise some right that they think that they have. So we've discussed it as a staff, and I'm happy to make changes. But what we've decided, and I've talked to some other library directors as well, is if somebody comes in without a mask, we're going to start with the happy note of just letting them know that it's required to be in the building. If that doesn't work, we can offer them a mask. And if that doesn't work, our next step actually is trying to help them as quickly as possible to get them out the door. Because if we create a situation where there is confrontation, I feel as though we're being contaminated actually more if we're having to have a confrontation or something that's escalating with a patron. It's almost, there's more spreading going on than if we just help them as fast as we can and move them along. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
So in terms, I agree with that, because the last thing you want is an unmasked person shouting at somebody, or getting even closer into their personal space. So before it escalates to that, if the person is refusing to wear a mask but insists on being in the library, which is, I think, the policy that everyone, I mean, you see this everywhere. Everyone, you know, in order to buy food somewhere, you have to wear a mask. Let's put aside the issue of the political issue for a moment, if that's our rule. And if a person feels, if one of the staff members feels that this could escalate, maybe there needs to be like a safe word so that somebody else can call the police. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, working with the public in general, we're always in, I don't want to say danger, but we're always in the realm of working with somebody who has mental illness. So these are all procedures that are put in place for us already. If somebody is escalating, what we do as a team to make sure that we're all safe. Another thing that we've done is I've ordered face masks for not just masks, but the face the plexi shield, thank you. The face shields for the staff as well, which is not mandatory, but it's an added layer of protection for situations where maybe, you know, we have somebody who comes in without a mask. that we have kind of another layer of protection so that we're protecting the staff, because that's our number one responsibility.
Are there problems, Megan, if you were, let's say the person refuses to wear the mask? You try to help them as much as possible, but let's say they want to read periodicals or stand in the periodical room and read. What would be the impact of asking them to go to one of the meeting rooms?
The meeting rooms will be filled with chairs.
Yeah, but I mean, leaving one meeting room for such an eventuality.
I have a problem with that, Steve.
I do too.
You make an accommodation for one person. How is that fair to everybody else who's following the rules?
Okay, I'm just throwing it out as an idea. It would reduce transmission, and it would reduce the situation where the person says, I want to read the magazines. And
do we even have
there.
magazines? Do we have magazines to read?
Yes.
We do have magazines, but I hear what you're saying, Steve. So one of the things we're going to say, one of the language that some of the staff's going to use is that they're welcome to use our curbside pickup, and they're welcome to be outside. So, you know, the solution could be, let me check that magazine out for you. You're welcome to sit outside and read it there.
Okay, that sounds great.
Kind of a friendly get out. And we're just going to try to be as friendly and accommodating as possible until we get to a point that if we feel that, you know, people, if this patron decides to stay after all of this language is spoken and all these procedures have gone through and read the magazine, you know, then maybe it is time for a call to the police. We are putting out signage recommending that people only stay for a certain amount of time too. So one thing, we haven't really decided how long that's going to be, but just something friendly that says, you know, we're a quick service library right now for the safety of patrons and staff. You know, please limit your stay till 40 minutes. Nothing that we need to police if somebody stays for an hour. You know, it's not the end of the world, but it's giving everybody kind of an idea of a timeline of what's appropriate, because we're all trying to figure out this whole system and what's appropriate and what's not. And so just giving everybody a guideline, I think, might be helpful as well.
Can I just ask a question? Because you said in the last meeting that since the town hall is a public building, you could go without a mask. I mean, I'm all for masks, but they are allowed, right?
You are allowed in without, I mean, it's not against the law.
Okay.
So there's been a lot of conversation between the difference between a mandate and a recommendation, and different towns have used different language. So the town of Cohasset, from what I understand from the police department, is that they've given a recommendation / mandate, which still doesn't make it a law. So it's kind of fuzzy. But
So do the police even have recourse? I mean, what if that's the case? Calling the police doesn't really do anything except escalate.
That's true. So we can have them removed, but you know, if they went to a court of law, I don't know if we would win, to be honest.
Well, I don't think anybody wants it to get to that point. You know, I think
Absolutely, right.
again, if you've tried, and I love your language, and I love the, you know, presenting this is what you can do attitude. You know, we're talking about like maybe 1% chance that somebody's going to go beyond that and still escalate into a problem. And then at that point, you know, it may be a safety issue, in which case the police presence may be enough to move that person away and not have it become really dangerous for anybody.
Right.
I agree with that. The other thing too is that clear signage on doors or all entranceways, clearly stating that masks are required, will help. I also feel that once you get somebody who's in that confrontational stage who refuses to cooperate, it's really a safety issue, and it's not necessarily COVID related. I mean, you don't want anybody in the library who's confronting you in an aggressive way or a non-compliant way. And so it's a police matter. It would also concern me with somebody who is a repeat offender, who continues to come into the library without a mask.
I agree. So generally, if somebody is making or doing something that that is against policy and or making people feel unsafe, like possibly acting over the top erratically about wearing a mask, then they get served a no trespass, which I have unfortunately a lot of experience with. So that is a certified letter that goes home to their address, and you alert the police as well. And generally it starts with like a 1 week no trespass to the library, and it escalates from there. Hopefully we won't get into this situation, but that's generally how we handle no trespasses for public spaces.
Great. Well, thank you for discussing this. And you obviously spent a great deal of time on it, but I thought it was important to talk about it.
Sure. And just another thing that I have in place that we're talking about, we haven't solidified, but when I say limited hours, what I'm thinking is kind of 2 shifts of hours. So maybe being open from 10 to 2 and then being open again from 5 to 8. And there's a few reasons why we would do that. It gives us some time to clean. It gives the staff some time to reorganize. But it also prevents any type of situation where somebody's decided that they're going to hang out regardless of any recommendation. And that, you know, it kind of ends that after 3 hours, which is an extreme amount of time, but it breaks up the day a little bit so that you don't have people who feel as though they can linger all day.
Megan, how is the staff all comfortable in coming back?
Yeah, so I did a staff survey about a month and a half ago, just anonymous, so that people could feel like they could say if they were feeling uncomfortable or if they had some health risks that, you know, health issues themselves that maybe they were worried about. So I feel as though the conversation, not only did we do the survey, but we've talked as well. I feel as though everybody feels safe about it. I think they appreciate the extra PPE that's been presented to them and the plexiglass that's going in front of the desks. And it was noted in a staff meeting on Monday, they did like kind of the split hours as well, because it's hard to wear a mask for 8 hours. And
trying to talk. Yeah.
And you're, you know, after that amount of time, also you start to become a little less cautious maybe, because you're just so used to your surroundings. So to kind of break up the day a little bit, and it just gives them a break from the public. You know, it can be, you know, a little nerve-wracking when you're maybe waiting for somebody to come in without a mask, and how you're going to handle that. So to break up the day a little bit, I think at least to start would be nice for the staff as well. So. All right. And if anybody decides to read the document in detail and wants to ask questions, please feel free to email me or Bronwyn if I'm not available. Let's see. We're keeping a close eye as well on Cohasset schools and how they're managing their reopening and trying to align ourselves appropriately with that as well. So we have started getting some deliveries. So this week has been a little bit of a trial and error. I think Bronwyn, was it Tuesday? We got 57 pages of holds that came in that we had to pull. So we're just playing some catch up on holds from other libraries. And let's see, we had a delivery of 800 books this week. And I know OCLN is working on trying to slowly start the process of sharing materials again. It's becoming extremely overwhelming, but I think once we catch up, we'll be in a good place.
I noticed that you're calling rather than emailing when the hold comes in.
Yes.
So that's easier to do?
It's not, but because every library is doing something a little bit different, the automated emails can either be turned on or turned off. And because there are libraries that are operating a little bit differently, we kind of had to all opt to have it off.
Oh,
They did offer last week to like do a trial of of some libraries opting in and see what happens. I feel like we're small enough and the phone calls have actually been kind of nice, although I'm sure they're repetitive for some people, but some people are just so excited to hear from the library. It just kind of gives a nice personal touch. It's also allowed us to check in on some of our patrons that maybe live alone or are a little bit older or are high risk for whatever reason, just to say hi and make sure everybody's good. So we're hoping to go back to emails in the next couple weeks, though. It's been nice to open with some calls, let people know what's going on, but we would prefer emails pretty soon.
right.
And I'm
Well,
sure
I
some of our
commend you.
patrons would too.
I can't believe how quickly you got back to me on the hold. I thought, wow, I expected to have to wait at least a month. And within a couple of days, you got back.
Oh, good. Yeah. So when somebody places a hold, we get a report twice a day. So we can generally do a couple day turnaround. So far, at least. On the community services front, so unfortunately, since the parade was canceled, we are not doing our float this year, but we have decided to submit an article to Life on the Rocks. It just kind of outlines all of our services as a team. Not only our immediate services, but maybe our secondary services. Like we have access to the Perkins Library for the Blind. And the REC has connections, and so does Safe Harbor, that aren't maybe immediately in Cohasset, but they can reach out to people very easily. So that will be in the August edition of Life on the Rocks. Summer reading's going really well. So Megan DiManio received a grant to do online virtual summer reading logs. And we have 37 people signed up already, which is really exciting. We did get our newsletters out a little tardy. We had some problems with our copy machine, unfortunately, but we've got them out. We'll be increasing our home delivery service very soon because the staff is back in the building on a fairly regular basis from 9:30 in the morning till 8 o'clock at night. It's giving us some time to think about how to expand our services. And one thing that Kristen brought up was expanding our deliveries. So we'll be doing that through the end of August. And let's see, state aid report and ARIS report. So the data came out for those reports, those state reports on Sunday. I'm hoping to at least get the state aid report done because I think that one's the most complicated. The ARIS report is lengthy, but it's more data entry. So if I happen to have to make a departure a little early, I think it's something that can be handled without me. And that's it from me. My last day will be July 17th, which is next Friday.
Wow. Bleeding with the chair's report, it's really more yours if you can update us. Megan and Elaine and Catherine and I got together for a socially distant outdoor meeting at the library to talk about getting Adirondack chairs in front of the library so that people could sit and read or what have you out in front. We looked at a few, but the lead times unfortunately seem to be very long everywhere that we've looked so far. Have you had any more insights from Mike or anything?
So I did hear back from Michael. He did, Michael is the rep that we use to get the furniture on the inside that we have. And the name of his company escapes me, so I apologize, but Michael Stewart. So when we looked into outdoor furniture, we contacted him as well. He's working on getting a quote from Hollywood. Was it Hollywood?
Oh. Yeah.
But he reached out to them and he received an email of them saying, we are at capacity with requests, and we will get back to you as soon as we can, but it's not going to be anytime soon. So he just said he was going to keep us posted.
So that was pretty much the same response that Elaine had gotten when she went through Wayfair. Elaine, you're muted if I saw you were just about to talk.
The town has emergency management funds due to COVID. These chairs may fall into that.
Could try.
Yeah.
It's worth a shot. I know there's some libraries that are using the emergency management funding as well for ebooks, which is kind of interesting. But I can certainly try and see if that's something that they provide. We also had some grant monies left over from when we did the furniture on the inside. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be nice if we could use.
What I was going to say was, you know, if a big outfit like Wayfair could, and the woman who I worked with, she called her rep at Pollywood directly and said, you know, can we place an order now? And they said it's going to be 10 to 12 weeks for Pollywood. So I would just suggest we just put in an order with whatever company you know, we felt best, and when they arrive, they arrive. You know, sometimes things do come sooner, but it seems like every company has a run on Adirondack chairs. Part of it is their suppliers. Part of it is, you know, the backup with they don't have enough delivery people. So these are things, Pollywood makes it to order. So it's not like they have a big warehouse where they're ready.
I see. Okay. I did get a quote from Bean. And now, excuse me.
It was about $2,000 for 8
I
of them.
did send it along. Okay, good. Yeah. And we got a 10% discount with them. So I have talked to the town, and they just said we had an account with them, and I guess now we don't, but they're willing to just give us the town credit card whenever we decide if that's our best option.
All right. Well, we can make a decision offline, but that will be nice to have those up front if and when we get to that point. All right. So is there anything else on your report, Megan?
No, I think that's it, unless anybody has questions.
And if not, we can.
Megan, what's the status of the community in FERV's COVID cases? Have you heard an update from the Emergency Management Task Force?
So the last I looked, we just had one active case in town. So there has been 25 cases, and then there was one active case. However, I saw an email yesterday from Wicked Local Cohasset saying that we've gone up 3 cases, and I haven't dove into that at all. But so we might
the
be
new number is Megan. The new number is 28. 25 have recovered.
Okay. So we have 3 active.
And I also know that we've had a death in town too.
Oh, really?
Oh,
That's too bad.
With a comorbidity, or
No, not really.
do you know the age?
An older person, but not senior. No.
I would be interested in how you define senior.
Well,
Tread lightly.
Over 100.
yeah,
Senior.
yeah, I like that. Senior. My mother-in-law, 96, is senior.
Okay.
All right. With that, we could move over to the bills. Bronwyn, was there anything you wanted to point out?
I hope you saw there's the 2 warrants closing out fiscal year 20 and jumping right into fiscal year 21. I don't know if anyone has any questions. It seems pretty self-explanatory. A lot of the July bills are annual renewals, the OCLN payment and things like that. Just some basic closing things out. We got a lot of bills came in when we finally were able to receive books that had been ordered. A big stack of Baker and Taylor bills came in back from March. That's why that's so high.
Bronwyn, what happens when, just remind me, this is me being dense. When we have money allocated for a particular category, if we don't use it, do we lose it? Or, like, for example, I noticed that we had money in maintenance repairs allocated, but we haven't used it all.
So we kind of do lose it, but we also have used it. So some of our other accounts we ran over, and what the town looks at is the total amount that was appropriated. And that's why in my accounting report, we had a balance of $340 of all those appropriated accounts. So we didn't spend our maintenance money, but we overspent petty cash
I
and
just wasn't sure how that works. Okay.
those kinds of things. So they want you to, in general, try to keep within the amounts that are allocated. But there's times when you just need more money for a different account for whatever reason. And so as long as you stay within the parameters of what's been given, then we're okay. Otherwise, you've got to go and ask for more money to cover it. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
So our final Bronwyn, I'm sorry, was
$340. Yep. I know, pretty good. You want to get right down to the line, but not go over.
Yeah.
Great.
So, yeah,
That was good.
not bad, not bad.
All right. Were there any questions or comments on the bills for both the June B and the July warrant? And if not, could I have a motion to approve the bills?
So moved.
Second?
Motion to-
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. I have nothing else to add either from as a chair report or as a CLT report. Catherine, was there anything from the Friends?
No, we're in recess for the summer, so nothing from us.
I think that takes us to the end of the agenda.
I do want to say quickly, the Friends have very kindly allowed us to put free books out on a cart, curbside. So you can come and grab a few, and you don't have to check them out, and you don't have to pay for them. So thank you to the Friends for allowing us to do that. It's a nice service.
We can have our own little free library right in front of
Yeah. Well, we're hoping that helps us, weed out a little bit.
Maybe can I add from my collection to your cart?
You can't take any
Get them out of my
donations.
house. I know, just get them out of my house and leave them in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Shoot, I thought of something. Oh, speaking of the parking lot, the DPW did, alas, finally come and mulch. So at least things are still keeping track up there. So
I have one quick question. Megan, were you able to get Bronwyn access to all of the different people and resources that you would normally look for sharing ideas and how to resolve different problems at other libraries?
Absolutely. Yep. So she's on the director's list for OCLN. So she's on the email blast list. And then I also introduced, I think actually, Bronwyn, you probably already knew Jessie, but I introduced her to Jessie Finney, who is the director of Situate, via email. Jessie and I have been working very closely on kind of our thoughts on reopening because we have very similar patrons. So
Right.
she has Jessie as well. And all the other directors too. Yeah.
excellent. Thank you. Is there anything else that anyone wants to bring up before the close of the meeting?
Stay safe, particularly if you're a senior.
or a senior. No.
Super senior.
Could I have we could stay on, but let's have a motion to adjourn. We can adjourn the meeting and stop recording. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.